Would you like to learn the rewriting process for a screenplay and simultaneously help me procrastinate from preparing for my class this afternoon? If so, stick around. Okay, this right here is the beat sheet that I have created. I give this to students and clients, and it is on sale on my website for like $3.99 or $2.99, something like that. Something where you will actually use it if you purchase it, hopefully. Anyway, I'm gonna take you through it and show you how to do it. And if you wanna purchase it, fine. But if you don't, it's right here and you can just do it on your own. I like to use this because it helps me to turn off my brain and just go through the process without having to go through the emotional stuff that rewriting comes up, because we all know that going through the rewriting process, the fear that it's not going to be good, the fear that you're going to have to kill your darlings, the fear kind of paralyzes you. How do I go through all these notes? What do these notes mean? Which notes do I actually want to take? All of that can be paralyzing. So I like to go through this process and use this document. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing you're going to do, even before you start using this document, is list all of your notes. That is including all the notes that you've gotten from other people and all of the notes you have for yourself that you know, things that you want to address. Then you're going to put them right here, okay? You're going to put them right here in order from easiest note to hardest note. So when you make a list of all your notes, you're going to look through and figure out what are all the notes that do not apply to you, the notes that you do not agree with. Someone says, I didn't like this, and you're like, well, that was the point, so I'm keeping that, right? The notes that you feel like duplicate. So you may get a note from 3 different people. It's the same note. Take those out because they duplicate each other. And then the notes that are vague that you get. You know how there's a note, but there's a note behind the note. So someone says, I don't understand this relationship. When in reality, the note is that you didn't plant their connection, you just paid it off. And so nobody understands why these two people are in love and why they're fighting for their love. It doesn't make any sense. So the real note behind the note is you need to plant or write a scene that shows their connection so the audience connects with their love story, right? So sometimes you have to translate a note to what it really means in an actionable way to make it make sense. And then you list those here. This is why it's helpful for the document, because when you download the document, you can just add extra lines and put all your notes that you're actually going to use right there. The next thing you're going to do is go back into your screenplay and go, if you're in final draft, you're going to put it in, go to production and then number all of your scenes. So some of your scenes may already be numbered. I don't like to have my scene numbers when I'm writing, but when you go into a production draft, all the scenes are numbered. So you're going to number all of your scenes in your script, and then you're going to copy and paste your scenes here, okay? So if you did outline, which you should, if you did outline, then you know where all of your scenes exist in all of your acts. So if this is television, you may have your teaser here, your scene 1, 2, 3, act 1, 4, 5, 6. Or if it's a feature, you may just start off with act 1 and then all of your scenes, okay? All of the scenes in your screenplay are going to be listed here. And then you're going to write the emotional beat that your scene accomplishes, okay? So what does your scene accomplish? So I came up with a fictitious screenplay for this. And then it's about a woman who is fearful for her life and she goes out and gets a gun or something like that, right? So all the scenes are here and I write what the scene accomplishes. This is the status quo. The character lives in constant fear. That's what that scene shows. The character is robbed at gunpoint. That's what happens in that scene. Character decides to buy her own gun. That's what happens in that scene, right? Okay. So you're going to write all the scene numbers, and then what's the beat that happens in that scene. Next, you're going to write the pages that it happens in. So scene 1 is the status quo. The character lives in constant fear. That's what happens in that scene. And that scene is pages 1 through 3. Scene 2, the character is robbed at gunpoint. That's 2 pages, scene 3 through 5. Okay, now we're going to get to the good stuff. So you've already started with the rewrite order. This is the order of the rewrite process. This is the magic sauce. This is how you keep yourself from going crazy when you're in the rewriting process. This is the rewrite order, okay? You're going to number the scenes in the script which you've done. You're going to list the intended emotional beat, which you've done. You're going to decide where to rectify the note. That's the razzle dazzle. So all the notes you have up here, you've listed from easiest to most difficult note. So you're going to start, it's like bringing down your debt, right? You start with the smallest amount. You're going to start, so somebody gave a note, the first act is too long. Okay. That's an insidious note because it's not telling me how to rectify it, but people give that note. Okay, so first act is too long. So then you need to figure out how to rectify that note, or not how, where. That's the magic sauce. Where to rectify the note, right? So over here, you're going to look at now you have all your scenes. So you look down here and you're like, okay, so I see that the first act is too long, and I have here, she hides a gun from family members. Here, the character lies about being afraid on their date, blah, 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 blah. And you can look here and see, okay, so there's a beat that repeats, right? So she explains that she's afraid here. She explains that she's afraid there. Does she need to do that twice? Maybe that's why my first act is too long, because I'm solidifying the plot more than once. So one of these, if they duplicate, you can call them out because you can clearly see them and you don't have an emotional attached to it because you're not looking at the joke, the great joke that you wrote on the page. You're looking clinically at what the scene is supposed to do, and you're realizing there's a duplicate beat there. Then it's easier to just cut one of those out. Just choose whatever the one is more compelling and keep that one and throw the other one away. The next thing in the rewrite order, address easiest notes first. We've already done that by listing them in order. And then address big notes by following, the rest of that says, following your own directions, which is this, right? So the big notes that are fear, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. You've done everything very practically. Everything is very practical. So all you're doing is following your own directions. If your note is like something difficult, like, I don't buy the connection between these two people, or the ending isn't satisfying. Well, the ending isn't satisfying. How do I make this ending satisfying? The ending is satisfying when the stakes are high. The internal obstacle is something that meets the stakes. It's a worthy opponent. And the ending is both surprising and inevitable. So you need to then look back and say, okay, how do I address that note? Is my ending surprising? Is it something that feels fresh? No. Is it something that, well, let's start with inevitable. Is it something that is inevitable because it is the correct emotional response in terms of a turn of events? These turn of events are back to back to back. Does that make sense emotionally for that to happen next? Yes. So it couldn't have happened any other way, but the audience isn't thinking of that because of how you planted and paid off the plot, which is an entirely different video. But the point is that you address the fear that comes along with the rewriting process by making it more clinical and doing it this way. Again, if you're interested in this document, you can find it on my website. It's like $2.99 or $3.99. Go to atlantafilmproject.com. And it's under downloads. So you go to atlantafilmproject.com, click on downloads at the top, and then you'll find this document. You download it, and then you can use it for yourself, which means you can stretch these up and down to put all your notes and add all of your scenes. If you want to do it clinically on your own, do it on your own. I just showed you the whole process. I hope this helps. I hope this takes the fear and the anxiety away from rewriting, and happy writing.